Well, first of all, when you talk about welfare, we ought to be a little honest about it. What's called welfare is public programs that provide funds for poor people. That's called welfare. Public programs that provide funds for rich people are not called welfare. But in fact, that's what most of the public funds are. So for example, now the way it's done, it's like, aid for mothers with dependent children, that you see. I mean, you don't see much, but, a few pennies go that way. You don't see fiscal policies which amount to exactly the same thing. So like tax benefits. Tax benefits on, say, home mortgages are a welfare payment, right? They're equivalent, identical to a welfare payment. If you pay less for your mortgage, that's the same as if some public fund gave you more. It's identical. And in fact, if you look at the welfare benefits that are disguised by fiscal measures, like real estate taxes and corporate prerogatives that are untaxed and so on, it's enormous. They almost all go to the most wealthy sector. And I don't think anybody's, this is not the kind of thing that people study much. But the few attempts that have been made to evaluate it indicate that they probably exceed all of so-called welfare. And that's only the beginning. What about the Boeing Corporation again? These models for the future. Well, that's a huge welfare program. The payments, the taxes that your taxes that go to the Pentagon and NASA and DOE and the rest of them, that's an enormous welfare program, most of which gets funneled quite directly to advanced sectors of industry and to their investors and their owners. And the top managerial levels, and some of it trickles down to parts of the workforce. But primarily, if you look at the distribution of funds, it's a tremendous welfare program for the rich. The same with Export-Import Bank loans. That's your taxes, remember. And they're going to compel foreign countries to purchase exports from U.S.-based manufacturers who, for all you know, may be producing abroad, maybe having their production done abroad because they're multinationals. Well, you try to add up all this stuff. There are enormous welfare programs which go primarily to the wealthy and the powerful. And that's not a big surprise, after all. I mean, they, after all, run the state apparatus. Why be surprised if they design it in their interests? This is a truism that goes back to people like Adam Smith, in fact. It's obvious. So when you talk about welfare reform, remember what's being discussed under that rubric is a little tiny fraction of it, namely the part that helps some poor people. Well, how should that be reformed? In my opinion, it should be reformed by enormously expanding it and cutting back on the welfare to the rich. But those are topics that are not going to be on the agenda. The welfare programs for the rich are not going to be on the agenda unless people like you put them there. Then they can be on the agenda. Like voting rights for black people were put on the agenda by struggle, not because somebody decided to give a gift, and so on for everything else.